Hey guys, Drifter here. Today we're going to be reviewing the world's most advanced gaming controller, which is the ASTRO C40 controller. I am sponsored by Astro Gaming. I have for their headset line for a long time, and I have just recently swapped over to the ASTRO C40 over the new SCUF Vantage. I have left SCUF and ended my partnership with them after 6 or 7 years, maybe. It's been a very long time with SCUF, but after much deliberation, I have chosen the C40 over the SCUF gaming controller, and we'll be talking a little bit about why later. If you're interested in this, there is a link down there in the description you can click on. It'll give you 5% off of this particular controller, and of course it gives me affiliate credit since they sponsored this video. But I do think this is the most advanced gaming controller in the world. I even brought this little thing out so that you can see what's going on with it. And the first thing that I wanted to do before I talk about why I chose this is do a quick unboxing to show you how it unboxes and all the features, and we're going to take it apart. I filmed this like 2 months ago because I've been testing it for that long. Hey guys, Drifter here. This is a couple of months ago in the past. This is the very night before the Modern Warfare beta launch, and I finally wanted to unbox my ASTRO C40 controller. I am currently not under contract with SCUF, so for the first time in 6 months I actually get to open this box. I'm going to be testing out in secret throughout the course of the Modern Warfare beta weekend and kind of putting it through its paces and seeing if it's up to snuff, but I didn't want to waste the unboxing opportunity. It is a big, hefty boy, and on the side we have this cute little button, if you can see, that says pull. So let's give her a pull and slide her right. Boomy. Even Ozzy knows that's bullshit, man. Can you grab that from him?
Come here. You can't play.
So for the rest of the review, this dog toy is going to stay on the table. We've got it this way up, and C40 TR controller, your eyes only. Let's go ahead and open her up and see what's inside. Oh, that is very fancy. Welcome to C40. Thank you for supporting Astro Gaming, and we've got this very nice panel. This is the neat thing. This is made of the same plastic the Orange Chainsaw Lego Spaceman is. You can see it on both sides, so you can see the buttons and what all it does and all the neat features. I might actually frame this. This is really cool. I'm gonna put this aside, and I'm gonna see if I can open this properly. Oh, we got a little piece of paper. I believe this is the C40 controller itself. Very small box, and actually, whoop, ha, ha, ha. You can see officially licensed by PlayStation, so that's a nice sign. I'll put the box down here. There's a couple of other items we haven't opened. We have an additional box, which I guess I'll get to. A second box that I'm going to have to get to. And do we have a third box? Wow, we have a third box here. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. The box actually looks like a very small Astro A40 headset box. They're all kind of designed to like slide open like this. And this comes out, nothing but instructions in there. Every single Astro C40 is going to come with a carrying case exactly like this one. Ooh, here's the actual controller itself. This beautiful, beautiful baby. Pick her up, put her down. Got a nice piece of foam protecting all the tools underneath. These are to change the thumbsticks for the USB adapter to take the controller apart. And the top flap is our USB cable, if you want to go wired. But I'm probably going to go wireless as much as I can, especially for the testing. In the big box, oh, okay. So like how the A40 headsets have the ear plates you can change, this one has the face plates you can change. So I got a face plate, which is nice. I know they're going to be making more of these in the future. Let's see what's in here. I have no idea what's in all this stuff. Oh. Looks like I got a lot more thumbsticks in case I wear them down. I can change them out relatively quickly. Oh, and finally, what do we have in here? We have D-pad options. I don't think too many people mess with the D-pad a whole lot, but we have options for it. And I have this Astro flash drive. I'm assuming this has like media and cool things on it for me to share. So I'll put that up. So the C40 controller looks a lot like most gaming controllers on the outside, and you don't even see that much in the way of special features on the top. On the bottom, you see that there are two triggers, paddles, bumpers, whatever you want to call them, to squeeze A and B, similar to what you would see on a SCUF, so that you can jump or duck, or you can remap them to whatever. Some of the other features you may not see are these adjustable sliders, so that you can turn your triggers. This is really hard to see, actually, but you have a full trigger press, right, like for normal games, and if you want to do the short trigger stops, you just slide that up, and now you have the quick trigger press, and if you slide it up all the way, it's even lesser. So that's kind of neat. We have wired and wireless options. Each controller will save 2 different modes, so you can swap your configurations really fast with that button. What's really neat is the inside. So let's open this bad girl up. So here's one of 2 or 3 things that make this controller stand out from the rest, is that you can remove all of the modules on the front by simply unscrewing a few little hex keys, and you get all this stuff with the controller itself, so don't worry about not being able to do it. And you can very gently lift it out, and you've actually removed the top of the controller. Now the buttons don't change, but you can see that there are 3 module panels here. I can actually pop all 3 of these bad girls out. So this kind of is designed where you can swap back and forth between PlayStation and Xbox configurations. You can do it, you'll see how these will lock in. That would be your PlayStation, this would be your PlayStation configuration. But if you're one of those Xbox boys, you'd put that one in here. You can put your D-pad back where it needs to go. And if you're an absolute sadist and you just don't really want to go to heaven, and you've just accepted that God's never going to forgive you for your sins, then you can put both of your thumbsticks on one side and this on the other, and make a sort of Franken controller. The idea behind this is that you can hot swap between PlayStation and Xbox, not systems, because as you can see with the PlayStation licensing, they encrypt the actual controller to restrict it, but PlayStation and Xbox styles. So if you're an Xbox gamer or a PlayStation gamer and you've moved systems, you don't really have to adapt very much. And it allows you to change out the faceplates to something more stylish, which is what I'm going to do right now. The last quick and easy thing that I can show here on the table is how to change the thumbsticks. They sell thumbstick packs. They're not quite like Control Freaks, but they are replaceable, and then they come in packs kind of like this. The idea is very easy. You grab the thumbstick from the top and you give it a pretty significant pull. I was actually afraid that I was going to break it, but it pops right off. Put the replacement stick on, snaps in, then you put your sticks where you want them. Since I'm a PlayStation boy, I'm just feeling lucky this way. I don't know why. They're identical, but let's get you settled in there. Let's get you in the right place, and let's put on our new fancy faceplate. Our surgery controller is done, and the C40 is good to go as soon as I've got these screwed down. So now that we're back after the unboxing, I'll tell you why I like this controller. The ASTRO C40 controller has a lot of features that the SCUF controller has that I enjoy. The thumbsticks can be domed of various lengths and removable. They both have paddles on the bottom, or bumpers or buttons or whatever you want to call them, that you can squeeze instead of hitting the face buttons. As you can see, they both have trigger stops. This is actually the trigger stop adjuster for the ASTRO, and this is the trigger stop adjuster for the SCUF. And you can take them apart. The SCUF faceplate pops right off. This one you need a little hex key to get into, but you just saw me do that in the unboxing. So there's a lot of overlapping features. However, I have enjoyed the C40 controller for one main reason. And that's the fact that the software on this controller is light years ahead of the software on this controller. This is truly a more plug-and-play, simple controller. They just recently patched it for PC. However, let me show you what happens when I plug this controller up to my PC. This is the really important part of the C40 review, the software. I think this is what is make or break for the product. I've got mine connected to my PC and I've got it on the default profile, but I can change it to a whole variety of profiles, and 1 and 2 as well. I can put a profile on the other side for hot swapping. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at my default profile, and it shows you what every single key is mapped to and you can see X to X, and I've got mine just the standard jump and duck on the bottom, but I can remap any of these. You can see me kind of clicking on the keys and playing around here, but you can remap any of these to anything. And what I'm going to do after I'm done kind of showing off all the options is we are going to make a new profile. You simply click on the top, come down to create new, and I'm going to name mine something. Oh, the little pop-up isn't recording on OBS. That's great. Well, I named mine Drifter is Sexy, so in just a moment it's going to, there we go, save, and let's go ahead. It created a new pop-up that isn't really loading, but here's Drifter is Sex is how that loaded. It comes unbound, and I can bind that to triangle and this one to R1 if I want to. But what's neat about this is that I can also rebind every button on the controller to a totally new button on the controller. And as far as I'm aware, this is a feature that console controllers just haven't had. I can make a real, for some reason my up is now right, but I can make a complete Franken controller out of this if I want to. And then here comes the fun part with the sticks. You can see it moving and spazzing out a little bit. That's because I'm touching them. You'll see in a second as I move them around, you can actually see in real time how far and the distance and direction and how I'm moving them and how they work, and a lot of neat things. But the other neat thing is that on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the left and right stick sensitivities, and I can adjust them and pull them down or pull them up, and I can play with them, and I can build my own stick sensitivity curve so that I can just do something totally different if I don't like the default sensitivity curves, which is something that the Xbox Elite controller has had via default. There's like a few default settings, but you can also see, especially on the left one as I move it around, the orange dot is what the console is seeing, and the white dot is what your thumb is actually doing. So it kind of projects ahead a little bit or behind, depending on how you've set up your default sensitivities. You can do the exact same thing on the triggers, because every single game is going to have a different trigger depth for the gun to fire or for the thing to work. And this was a big problem with people that had scuffs on Destiny. They couldn't actually shoot some of the deeper trigger pull hand cannon weapons. But these you can play with, and I can do the same things, and I can squeeze the triggers in real time, and you can kind of see how they're going. And the moment it kind of goes crazy is when I'm going to start playing with the left trigger, and you can see that I've got this deflection that's advanced and ahead. So it's actually pressing the button. It's simulating me pressing the button down further than I really am. And yes, this works with the little plus or minus flippers on the bottom where you can turn the trigger stops on and off. This controller is basically a mix amp in and of itself, which I thought was really cool, but isn't really surprising for Astro. And you can customize on your equalizer here all of your frequency ranges so that you can try to hear footsteps better or worse or mute various things. I'm probably going to leave mine default. You can adjust your microphone setting. Of course, this is designed to work with Astro headsets. You can also adjust the speaker volume on the controller, and I'll show you in a second. I'm going to turn mine down to 0. And then finally, we have the LED brightness and the rumble effects with the left and right intensities currently set at 100%. I can move them up and down, but I can also just turn them off if I want to. And when I'm done, I have the option to sync to controller. Now, I'm not going to do that because this isn't, I've made sort of a goofy Franken profile, and this is not the profile that I want. So I'm going to clear these changes, and we are going to go back to my just default profile because my needs are typically pretty simple. I like the way that these are bound. I like the default sticks and triggers, but what I am going to do is I'm going to come down to the audio down here, and I'm going to mute the C40 speaker because having the controller speaker going off ruins my commentary. And on the effects, I find that the C40 rumbles a little bit too much for my liking, so I'm going to turn that down so that I still get the sort of tactile feedback of rumble, but it's not very strong. And we hit the sync button, and the controller is synced, and all of those settings are changed and good to go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what I think makes this the most advanced gaming controller on the market. This has turned into a really complex review, and I had to come back on a different day and add one more thing that I forgot about. I'm well into the Modern Warfare pre-launch grind right now. I've got the mad scientist hair going on, but I wanted to talk about the wireless technology that the C40 runs on. This little USB dongle is how your controller wirelessly connects to your PlayStation instead of using the default PlayStation connection. You would say, well, that's a little sketch. Other controllers just kind of connect directly. Well, that's because Logitech was unsatisfied with PlayStation's Bluetooth protocols. And what they decided to do instead was to use their own Lightspeed wireless technology, which is this thing, and it's the same thing that powers my Logitech mouse and keyboard. And they advertised this as being faster than wired, that this technology is somewhere between, I think it's 2 to 4 don't quote me, 2 to 4 milliseconds faster than using your USB cable. I can say from experience that it works fine. There's no delay that I can notice. It works fine on my mouse and keyboard at home. However, I'm not exactly sure about being faster than wired, and I don't have the ability to test this. I need like a 5 or 6 or 700 FPS camera in order to be able to test if this is faster than wired. But what I can say with absolute certainty is that it's definitely not any different than wired, and it performs really well. So I can customize every single thing about this controller on the PC, sync the settings in 2 different modes so I can just swap back and forth for various games, very easy like. So I can have like one for COD and one for Battlefield, or one for Destiny and one for something else, and I can just hot swap the button back and forth, and it'll hot swap my stick sensitivities, it'll swap my bottom key mapping, it'll actually swap the trigger depth here as well, since you can set that on the PC. And I also like that I can change the sticks back and forth between Xbox and PC mode. So I've got a lot of, I could use this controller on PC natively as well, which would be fantastic, because then, you know, not all PC games emulate the thumbsticks right. So I can go in, I can make custom thumbstick deflection curves and do all the nice stuff that I just showed you how to do on PC to make it play just the way that I want it to play. Now, we're going to do a brief comparison between the ASTRO C40 TR and the SCUF Vantage controller. The SCUF Vantage, and I know since ASTRO sponsors, they don't want to hear this, the SCUF Vantage, in my opinion, has 2 things, maybe, we're going to say 2 things that are superior to the C40. Number 1 is that when you look on the bottom, you'll notice that the SCUF Vantage controller has 4 paddles. This one's only got 2. Now, when I talk to Astro about this, they say that like 95% of players literally only use 2 paddles. When I talk to pro players and my friends and other people, they all pretty much only use 2 paddles, and very few people use the inner 2 here. However, I must be in that 5%. I'm a freak of nature. I like using these inner 2 paddles. I like having these as options. It's quite nice. The SCUF Vantage also has the side action bumpers, which are essentially just 2 new paddles. So you could consider this one 6 paddles, this one 2. That being said, according to market research, apparently people don't use these. I must just be a freak of nature, because I literally claw this and side grab this thing, and I use every single button on the controller. The C40 just has the 2. However, I do have to admit, I mostly just use the 2. The jump and the duck. It's the most useful thing. The other thing that I like a little bit better about the SCUF controller is the rumble feature. So these 2 controllers are of about equal weight with each other. I'll turn them around like this so you get a little better look at them. And you can easily disable the rumbles on the C40 controller just in game. However, with the SCUF Vantage, you have the opportunity to take the rumbles out and make the controller lighter. Some people really prefer this lightweight controller for a whole variety of reasons, and it's not the biggest difference maker for me, but it is nice to have as an additional option, whereas here the weight will always be the same and you can just turn the rumbles on or off. How about durability, build quality, product lifespan? Between the 2, and this was one of my deciding factors in moving, is I believe, thank you for burping in the middle of my video, Ozzy. I believe that the C40 TR has a longer lifespan than the SCUF Vantage. And the reason for that is that this is the first product that SCUF has manufactured on their own. Most of their past products have been mods or up conversions of existing controllers. This is their first manufacturing one, and they've got a lot of tooling up and learning to do. Astro, on the other hand, has been manufacturing products forever, and they partnered with Logitech, the parent company for this one, who's been manufacturing products since there's been computers. So the build quality off the bat is very, very high on the C40 TR controller. Failure points on the SCUF are typically the paddles down here on the bottom, and this particular type of SCUF has also had issues with stick drift. Failure points on the C40 TR are exactly 1. There's one common issue, and that's this stick tends to break faster than expected because, especially people that play Blackout VR, are constantly clicking it. They're just constantly going to town, hitting this a bajillion times a day, and they did not project users to click that as often as they do. On the upside of things, as I showed you before, if your stick totally dies, it's modular. You can just get a new one for like $15. And they did a similar thing here with the sticks, except it's just the plastic on the top. If this thing is loose, if this thing is busted or sticks or just isn't cooperative, there's no fixing that. You have to send the whole thing back. If this stick breaks, it's $15 and you're back to good to go. The way I play with my products, I very rarely break them. Even the more fragile scuffs I've had very good long lifespans on, so I imagine this C40 is going to last me even longer. But some of you I know are very hard. Some of you are weightlifters that like to crush and bend these controllers. Some of you are ultra grinders playing 10-15 hours a day. There's a lot of different things that you can do to break a controller, but overall this one is very, very durable. And I've enjoyed it primarily for the software features. It is a really sophisticated product that you can do a lot of things with. So if you're like me and you like to max min a whole bunch of things, if you really like to kind of tweak them and optimize and learn and experiment and have a very sophisticated tool, C40 TR, great controller. And this is the one that I use when I'm playing Modern Warfare or really any console game at this point, though I do have to admit, I'm addicted to PC. I love PC gaming. But yeah, this is the one that I have chosen to work with, and this is the one that I have chosen to represent with myself and my brand, and I stand behind every product that I promote. So I hope that this fall, you guys try out some C40 TR and let me know what you think about it. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful about the product, about all the various educational things. The goal here is really just to educate you about a product more than a hard sell. And if you're curious, again, the discount link is down there in the description. Drifter out.